43. Well, the World Cinema Showcase kicked off in Auckland City last night. It's going to be making its way around the country and features a whole lot of fictional films, but a lot of documentaries as well from overseas and here in New Zealand. One of them is Te Hono ki Aotearoa. It's by Jan Bieringa, and she joins me in Wellington City this morning. Good morning to you, Jan.
Morning, Glenn. Nice to be on.
Yes, indeed. And so this documentary, it's about the creation of a waka that was commissioned by a museum overseas, and you've followed the process of its building and creation, and then its eventual showing. So, how did you get involved in the first place, and how did you find out that this was taking place?
Glenn, there's a wee bit of a backstory here in that there was a show called Mana Māori being proposed for the big ethnology museum in Leiden. And the idea was very much that it would be a sort of a focus on New Zealand, but primarily on things Māori. And alongside that, the director of the museum really wanted to build an enduring quality or quantity or dimension to the exhibition, something that would carry on after the exhibition closed down. And so this extraordinary idea to ask Māori to give them a waka came up. I just thought pie in the sky, because actually my working knowledge of things, Māori take waka to various places, but they don't necessarily leave them there. So this is a new thing, Well, lo and behold, suddenly the request was made with, I think, with sort of fear and trepidation, but equally, on the other hand, I think there was fear and trepidation on Toi Māori's part as well, because this is a very big deal.
Yes.
It's not a lump of wood, It is actually a living tree and a living dimension.
So, how was it decided who was actually going to build this waka?
Well, Toi Māori is the Māori arts organisation in Wellington, and they focus on contemporary things. And so they asked Hector Busby, who is the sort of master waka builder in New Zealand, and he's up in the far north, if he would consider doing such a commission. And so then the director of the museum goes to the far north to meet Hector. They get on very well, and it's all happening. So it really becomes a fait accompli.
Would it be fair to say? Well, would it be fair to say that the creation of a waka is the stuff of legend, isn't it? I mean, it's go out and select the right tree in the forest, and then make sure that is done to protocol, and everything is looked after and made sure that it's done right.
Absolutely. And because the time was very short here, they used an existing tree. To get a kauri tree, of course, is it's a very long process, and also the wood needs to be quite tempered and proven, So they had a tree, Hector had a tree, and it's all on, and it happens very quickly. And I said to the museum, really, it's very important that you get footage of all this negotiation and the making of the waka, so that the museum and the staff and the visitors to the museum really understand what they've actually got, you know.
Yes. And that's where you came in.
That's where I stepped in, and because I was sitting alongside all these discussions, and how lucky was I to have that opportunity. And so I organised for that initial footage to be gathered. And after that, I just thought, my God, there's an amazingly lovely film here. And so I pressed on, and raising funding and so on was incredibly complex. So it was never a commissioned documentary for me. It was silly me taking it on my own shoulders, thinking I could kind of pull this off, you know.
Now, there's obviously a story to be told here about the actual creation of the waka and then its journey and eventual new home. But of course, documentaries are all about people, really, though, aren't they?
They are about people, and I think you would have to say that the waka is treated as a person as well. So there are quite a few central characters in this film. And Glenn, I just want to say I was incredibly lucky to be given permission to use footage, 1937 footage of the making of the big waka at Waitangi, Ngā Toki Aotearoa.
Wow, yeah.
And of which Hector is both the kaitiaki now, but he did the amazing restoration in 1975. And he's looked after that waka like a baby since that time. And so the Tainui Trust Board have a wonderful film called Mana Waka, and I was allowed to use some of the original footage from that shoot. So I've incorporated that into the film. So it's quite a complex weaving of lots of components and lots of formats, really. So,
was there any controversy around what was going on with the making of a waka, the transportation of it, and the fact that it was being sent overseas?
Well, I don't know. When I say I don't know, that's a stupid thing to say. There was. And there was a lot of nervousness and a lot of kind of resistance because it hasn't been done before. But it bubbled along in a way, and I chose not to look behind the scenes too much in terms of the controversy. I hope I haven't told a fairy story, but it just did go remarkably smoothly. It was like it was meant to be. And now this waka is not just the waka for Leiden. It is actually, it's become the waka for Europe. So an extraordinary journey.
Yeah, tell us about that. Tell us about its new home and how it fits into where it is.
Well, the extraordinary thing for me is that not only did they get two waka, they got a fiberglass waka and a beautiful ceremonial waka toa called Te Hono ki Aotearoa. They've got this incredibly beautiful whare waka as well. So 4 carvers went up to build the whare waka just last year. It opened at the end of last year. And when you look at the scale of the museum buildings and the age of the museum buildings, they're about 400 years old. And then this just beautiful, plain, beautiful house sits alongside these buildings. And so what sort of fascinated me both about the waka and the whare waka is that they just kind of fit there. It doesn't look like anything out of place. So just a very big new direction for museums, thinking about things that don't just go in glass cases or into the museum. These waka are for use.
Yeah.
They're for building new communities. They're for building new skills. They're building new relationships. So a wonderful story.
So does that mean that that there are some Dutch people now who are trained or know the ways of using a waka and sailing that waka in the canals?
The Maori crew, Tamaho Temera from Toi Maori Aotearoa, went up with a group of paddlers from here, Kaiho, and they taught the Royal Dutch Rowing Club how to do this. I mean, the language skills and the physical skills of these boys and the spiritual skills, I mean, it's astounding. They got it all, and they're wonderful ambassadors for Te Hono ki Aotearoa. And collectively, some of the Dutch Royal Rowing Club, some of the Maori Kaihoi from here, and some Maori from London of the big Ngāti Ranana collective took the waka up the Thames last year.
Oh, wow.
as you know, that Te Hono ki Aotearoa is going again for the Queen's Jubilee this year.
Yes, which is something quite special, I understand, for New Zealanders to see when they're overseas. There's something that runs through the heart, I suppose, when you see something like that. That's not here in New Zealand.
When Te Hono ki Aotearoa is going up the Thames, there was a karanga for them.
Yeah.
And so it rang out over all the other sounds and boats and wash of the water and so on. It's absolutely galvanising.
Yeah. Wonderful stuff. Well,
to have all that footage, so
great.
That's fantastic.
Then go and see this documentary. It is called Te Hono ki Aotearoa, and its first screening is on Sunday in Auckland City. What time?
Then it's at 6:20,
Mm-hmm.
And then the lunchtime screening is on the 3rd of April. I just want to say one thing. Warren Maxwell's done the sound for this.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and it is truly wonderful, and I keep forgetting all the important things to say when I'm doing interviews. It's a beautiful soundtrack, and I feel very privileged to have had so many people step onto the team. I mean, really, it is quite amazing.
Well, I'll give you a couple of seconds to think of anything else you need to say while I say go and check out the website, worldcinemashowcase.co.nz, where you'll find all the Showtime screenings and all the details about the film as well. And I'll leave it to you, Jan. Anything else?
Glenn, I want to say on Sunday night at 6:20, anybody that comes to the premiere will be lucky enough to meet and see Hector Busby, who will be there with his family. And the kaihoi with, Tamaho Temera, they will have been training on the lake in Hamilton on Saturday and on Sunday, and they're coming up for the screening on Sunday evening. And so there will be a very rich audience there, and so the audience who come to the screening will be able to meet and talk to these people after the screening. So it'd be completely lovely if lots of people do come.
Brilliant. That is Jan Bieringa from the film Te Hono ki Aotearoa. Thanks very much for joining us in Wellington today.
Thanks, Glenn. Bye-bye.
And